Hello and welcome to Libra season. Thanks for tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and multidimensional human who, like you, is on a journey through this crazy thing we call life here on planet Earth. These days, as I'm sure you've noticed, life on Earth is complex, chaotic, confusing, terrifying, and deeply heartbreaking, yet also still full of beauty and saturated by the mysterious substances of sentient potentiality. In many ways, these times are to be expected, given the histories and cycles that they're emerging within. In the ongoing evolution of human consciousness, navigating times of crisis has always been our necessity. Throughout history, we humans have had to reckon with creative and destructive potentials, and the ways in which we can make meaning and grow through experiences of tragedy and pain. Over the ages, one of our most important evolutionary guides and allies in meaning making has been astrology. Astrology is expansive, and the type that I practice, which is called tropical astrology, is just one of its many forms. Different forms of astrology exist and have existed on every part of the globe, and new forms and variations are still being created. At its most fundamental level, astrology is an orientation of attunement with the cycles and seasons of the cosmos, and a practice of listening and communing with the most important planet of all, which is the one we're part of, Earth. If you, like me, are interested in how you can live into the fullest potential of your lifetime, in service to the life and lives yours is interwoven with here on Earth, I want to invite you to join me next month for an in-person on-land retreat, where we'll explore how embodying astrology can help us attune with our intuition, open our imaginations, and show up for our journeys with inspiration, presence, and purpose. October 24th through 27th at the Eco-Dharma Center in the Rocky Mountains, I'll be joined by my colleagues Ramon and Michelle Gabrieloff-Parrish for a deep dive into experiential astrology. During this 4-day residential retreat, we'll engage with charts, signs, and symbolism. We'll spend time outside, connecting with our physical presence, somatic intelligence, and psychic process, in communion with the land and sky. We'll experiment with the potential of astrology to elaborate systems thinking, expand mind-body coherence, and assist us in cultivating perspectives on how our individual inheritances and personal potentials can help us all meet the historic moment we're in as change agents, healers, and visionaries. If this sounds like the place you want to be, I hope you'll join us. Learn more about the Body of Stars retreat by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting embodiedastrology.com, where you can find more information from the drop-down menu in the study section. Last but not least, before we get to your sign-specific horoscopes, I do want to remind you that these readings are somewhat personal explorations of larger collective symbols. Take what works, leave the rest, and make the meaning that's meaningful for you. For a broader focus on the astrology of current events and a collective reading, make sure to listen to my Libra season overview, available on YouTube or wherever you stream your podcasts. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to Libra season. As we move into Libra season, we are in the thick of eclipse season. We had an eclipse on September 17th, just a couple days before Libra season begins. And that was a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign Pisces, which is an important sign for you. It is your sibling sign on the mutable cross. I definitely talked about that eclipse in your Virgo season horoscope, so definitely check that out if you haven't listened to it already. And we'll have a new moon and solar eclipse coming up on October 2nd in Libra. And the period of eclipses, the eclipse window, as some astrologers like to call it, which is 2 weeks between the lunations, is a period of time that is often very ripe. Some astrologers will talk about this as a period of time when karma ripens. So this sense of ripening of what has been in development or growing for some time, then coming into fruition. And as things come into fruition, there is a revelation or understanding of what they are. In this blossoming or understanding, there may be a feeling of, wow, that's what that is. Okay, I want something different than that. I'm ready to move on. So there may be a sense of ripening and then readying for for some kind of change or preparation for transition. And there may also be some kind of sense of what this is propelling in terms of movement forward from here. Something has been kind of coming up from under the surface. Now you're able to see it in some new ways. Now new choices are on the table. So as we get into this horoscope, I am going to do my best to read for your head, your heart, and your body. In this season's horoscopes, I am thinking about aspects of your head that have to do with ideas about who you are. When we're thinking about Libra, we are thinking about our sense of taste and preference, what we find beautiful and what we don't find beautiful, our attractions and aversions. When it comes to the heart, Libra is the sign that is most associated with relationships. All the air signs, to some extent, are very relational and have to do with different kinds of relationships. But Libra is the primordial relationship, the other. When we're working with Libra, we are working with the reflective capacities that we have for one another. As related beings who are also totally different, we bring out different parts of each other. And what we bring out in each other, we also bring out in ourselves, right? So the chemistry that happens between people is a big learning opportunity for those people to be able to feel into what is possible, in wonderful, attractive, tantalizing ways, and also in ways that are more destructive, not wonderful, and ways that we really want to learn about ourselves, refine, and grow. So in this realm of love and relationships, we are also definitely considering preferences, attractions, and aversions, and what you want and don't want. And that brings us to the body and ideas of balance. What is balance, right? Balance is a dance. Balance is a constant shifting between different states of extremes, but the capacity to practice balance requires us to be embodied. It requires us to be able to feel the impact and momentum of our energy, to feel the ways that we are pushed and pulled inside of our attractions and aversions, and what can create imbalance better than other people. Am I right? So the realm of relationships can be a wonderful place to do some learning about balance and how we get knocked off balance, and also how we can come into balance and hopefully relational balance or harmony and reciprocity and things like that. So we're going to take a journey through Libra season beginning on September 22nd with the equinox and the solar ingress into Libra. So the first couple days of Libra season, I think for a lot of folks, are a period of time when details are getting sorted out. We are coming out of a Mercury retrograde, and I think a lot of folks went through some kind of process around not having certain kinds of information or needing to rework information, reconfigure plans, things like that. And the first couple days of Libra season, there's still some details shifting around and getting reoriented. For you, Sagittarius, it feels like these details are really about the big picture. So what are you doing with your life? Where are you going? What are you trying to build? What are you trying to grow? What are you trying to be known for in your life? What's the legacy that you are leading and leaving? Career and vocation are definitely big themes for this part of your chart. And beyond career and vocation, I'm just going to say that whatever you put your attention towards grows. And your time, resources, and attention are enormously important. And how you direct them will have impact. So, if you pour all of your time and attention into things that distract you, it might be hard to grow something. If you get focused and put attention and resource and spend time on some particular area and you stay at it, chances are you're going to be able to develop something there. My feeling for a lot of you right now is that the big picture is crystallizing in your consciousness right now. And so much of this big picture is beyond your limited capacity to create or control. So much of this big picture has to do with elements of the world, the environment, the economy, politics, that you actually don't control solely, right? Like you might have a little bit of influence, but you don't control every aspect of those like big picture kind of global things, yet you're totally impacted by them. When it comes to the theme of relationships and other people, for you, there's a lot of emphasis right now on your one-on-one dynamics and how you're kind of engaging and interfacing with people, and also what that can build and lead to in larger social settings. So this includes your friendships, it includes networks and associations, organizations, etc. And my feeling is that this is a period of time that requires you to be humble, to really practice a lot of humility, which is not always easy for fire signs, you know, in general. It's not always easy for Sagittarius, because humbleness and humility require us to be of the earth, right? Like that's the root word, humus. Like it's come back to the earth, you know. You're a single person. You have your limits. You have limits on your time, limits on your capacity, limits on your perception, you know, limits on your awareness. And your limitations, when they are held with good humor and curiosity and kind of an acceptance, they can become actually a bonding element in your relationships, right? So if I'm like, you know, I'm just not a cook, but I love to set the table, that helps me make a friend, you know, who wants to cook. If I can set the table, maybe I love to go to the farmer's market or something like that. You get the gist, right? So where you have a kind of personal lack of something, other people might have an excess. They might have plenty to give. Where you don't have a particular skill, somebody else does. And where other people don't have something, you do. And so focus on what you can affect. This is a great period of time to work collaboratively and to take a really big picture with others around what is it that is trying to come forward right now. And for those of you that are more lone wolf types of Sagittarians and you're not necessarily thinking about far-reaching relationship in the human realms, I think you're still thinking about far-reaching ideas, and there's some kind of larger creative kind of project unfolding that feels like it's oriented towards rethinking, remapping, doing systems work of some kind. And if you're not in active collaboration with other people, you're still in active collaboration with other people's ideas and research, and you're in collaboration with also, you know, elements with the more than human realms, etc. And I think that being humble and really trying to play your part well is the best that you can do right now. And so when the details, or if the details feel overwhelming as we get into Libra season, focus on what you can do and what you can do well and what you can do with accountability and integrity. And focus also on being humble, right? What do you know that you can't do? Be honest about that. Let other people help you. Now, this is really important as we get out of September and into October. So the last couple days of September, first couple days of October have a vibe to them about being honest. Being particularly honest about what doesn't work. What needs to be cut back, cut away, right? This is, at least where I am in the Northern Hemisphere, this is a time of harvest. And I think that a lot of you are really kind of working this energy right now of cutting back, cutting away, seeing what has come into fruition. Again, we're in this eclipse window, kind of noticing what's developed. And in this noticing of what's developed, what are we done with? And when you can clear out what is not in service to what you're trying to grow, it makes space for what you are trying to cultivate to come in. It's important that you give this space to clear out, to cut out, to let go of what's not working. If you try and just move towards like the new idea, right, where I want to go, and you don't give time to clear the space a little bit, then your movement forward becomes confused and bogged down with excess and unintegrated, disintegrated energy that, again, doesn't serve this purpose that you're trying to grow towards. Now, again, I really want to bring your attention to your relationships, to your friendships, to your associations, to organizations that you might be involved with, or ways that you might feel yourself participating with larger social dynamics. What works? What doesn't work? Many of you can get really conceptual about this, and you can get into your ideas, particularly around this time. Be in your body about it. So if you have an idea coming up of, that's not working, can you take some time to feel in your system why it's not working? What is it doing that doesn't work? Don't be hypothetical or conceptual about it. Be real about it. What are the impacts of this dysfunction or this, overgrowth, or I don't know what the words are, right? Like, what are the impacts of what is not working? And when you can get clear about what the impact is, this might be the harm, it might be the excess, it might be the distraction. When you can get clear about that, then you can make a clear choice for yourself because you don't want that, right? So there's this sense of your preferences and your aesthetics and your tastes getting refined. Ooh, that's the thing, that's not the thing. And some of you are really feeling some big shifts right now in the ways that you want to be relating with other people. You are noticing that you don't want to inhabit social spaces in the same way, or you don't anymore. You're expressing yourself differently. You need to express yourself differently. Maybe you're ready for a whole new look and like something about, the spaces that you move through a lot just doesn't really serve that look. Some of you might need new social spaces, new social experiences. Pay attention to what is telling you it's time to be different. It's time to do something else. And then let that information get really grounded in your body so that you can feel the embodied truth of your preferences. What is a clear yes versus what is a clear no? And to feel that in your heart and body will help you clarify in your head. If you start in your head thinking about it conceptually, you're probably recycling other people's thoughts. You're probably running the same tape that, you made back in the day, like 20 years ago. Be in your body about it, right? Be real about it. Hey there. I'll be back in just a minute with the rest of your Libra season horoscope, but I wanted to let you know that if you're enjoying this reading and it's resonating for you, the best way to integrate and bring astrology's best potentials into your life is to put them into practice. At Embodied Astrology, that's exactly the kind of thing we do. Every month and throughout the seasons, we offer opportunities to engage the creative, experimental, and experiential aspects of current astrology. This season, I hope you'll join me for Somatic Space, which is a class I offer every Monday, where we prepare ourselves to work with the astrology of the week ahead through gentle, healing body practices, breathwork, meditation, and visualization. Over the weekend of October 12th and 13th, we also have 2 wonderful workshops with our faculty members, Gabs and Junata. On Saturday, October 12th, Gabs 404 will be joined by a special guest, the astrologer and time researcher Christopher Burrick, in the Nebula Lab, where they'll deep dive into time as a substance and explore the many ways that time has been measured, expanded, stretched, and played with, and how we can work with time across time through the cyclical symbolism of the outer planets. The next day, Sunday, October 13th, Junata Petrus returns for the Aries full moon edition of her monthly Artistic Alchemy series. In these sessions, Junata brings us into the textural, sensual encounters with the solar-lunar axis and full moon vibes by sharing playlists, artist practices, and personal prompts that help us uncover and expand our personal creative practices and life as artistry. These events are all offered on Zoom and available by recording if you can't attend live. Our offerings also change with each season and are always curated to meet the moment. To find out more, check the upcoming events in our show notes or click Study from the drop-down menu at embodiedastrology.com. As we move into October, this sense of embodied truth leads to revelation and clarification. There are deeper truths and instincts that are coming forward at this time, and you want to be honest about it. Also be aware that especially for the fire signs right now, there is a high potential of imbalanced reactivity. So that could be urgency in movement towards or against something. You might feel activated like you got to fight. You might feel activated like you got to get some. Either way, if it feels like a frenzy, take note, take a pause, take a breather, take some space to get integrated head, heart, body, and orient yourself in directions that move towards healing and growth. So if you feel like conflict is there, right? Let's say there's revelation and clarification and you're like, absolutely not, right? You feel like, no. Taking time to clarify in your body why. Why do you know that this is a no? Helps you to make wise and skillful and discerning choices that you might not be able to make if you were just in your head about it, in a kind of like argumentative, reactive, more cerebral space. The directions of healing and growth are the directions of integration between your head, heart, and body. Your healing and your growth will absolutely be entangled with the healing and growth of who and what is around you. That doesn't mean that who and what is around you is always going to love what you need for your own healing and growth. There may be clear needs at this time to part paths for some people or around some situations or projects or something. But if you are embodied about it, if you're real about it, and you've taken your time to be discerning, and you can communicate from a place of embodied truth, then even if others aren't so happy about it, it will also free up their energy. You might not know what you need if you're only in your head or if you're only in your reactivity. So please try and move at the speed of trust right now with yourself. You want to be able to trust yourself, to trust your words, your choices, your actions. And in order for you to trust yourself, you have got to be able to love yourself. And in order for you to love yourself, you've got to be able to feel your body and to be humble, right? To bring yourself back to the earth. Oh, you have limitations, right? You only have this life. What are you actually choosing? What do you want to put your investment in, etc. Moving into the middle of October, this clarification and revelation and orientation towards healing and growth helps clarify what new directions are emerging and the pathways that will lead to new systems. There are larger structural remappings and rethinking that is happening at this time. This is true on collective, institutional, and organizational levels. This is also true inside of personal relationships and your personal projects. Many of you are finding that you are involved in some kind of situations that have to do with the future right now. There might be future planning. There might be projects that you're working on that are very future oriented. As the new pathways start to clarify, the emphasis again comes into the use of personal and collective power. It feels like you are thinking about power, talking about power. People around you are thinking and talking about power. Power can mean a lot of things. And again, we want to move in the direction of healing and growth. We want to be mindful that the actions that we take now will have consequences in the future, potentially the very near future, as well as the far-reaching future. As new agreements start to take place, as they will, I think for a lot of you in mid-October, you again really need to come towards them from an integrated space. So if you're making an agreement, if you're kind of putting into motion something that will involve your ongoing participation, there needs to be an embodied yes for you. You need to know in your heart and body why you're making those choices. Don't be in your head about it, because your head will lie to you, right? Our brains lie to us all the time. They are on one all the time, fantasizing, being deluded, being distracted. Our brains, when they're functioning best, are doing the work of listening really skillfully to our hearts and bodies, and then helping us articulate and discern our need for action, decision, communication, etc., that are in alignment with our hearts and bodies. Take time for negotiations if you need them or if you're involved in them. Some situations are forming right now as these kind of new agreements or new pathways or new systems come into into formation. They are going to take a while, particularly for those of you working on big feeling projects that do extend into the future. Please come at it with the attitude of experimentation. Maybe even think about like a 3-year timeline for some of you, like until 2027, as a kind of time of flux and again, experimentation. See what works. Build inside of your agreements chapter markers for check-ins and redirection, because you're going to be getting new information pretty consistently, and you need to be able to troubleshoot and problem solve as you move along. And if you come at it with a kind of clear intention and flexibility to be adaptable and a plan to be adaptable, you're going to be so much happier than if you try and formulate your idea of what the goal is like 3 years down the line. Know the pathway of your intention, and then let the kind of outcomes or like desire for whatever it is that you're doing way out there emerge. You don't need to know it right now. There is a full moon in your fellow fire sign Aries on the 17th of October, and the days leading up to that full moon are pretty powerful. It feels like there's intensity that is building. In your chart, I feel psychic intensity, psychological intensity, and energetic intensity. It's like it's kind of like you're getting a little bit compressed as we move towards the full moon, which is normal. Full moons tend to be kind of activating times. But this particular full moon for you, I think, is needing you to hold a lot of information. And there is this sense of big shifts happening in relationship and communication and perception. And you are doing a lot of processing as we move towards that full moon. Now, the full moon is revelatory. It feels really exciting, I think. And it opens up what feels like a new adventure. Some of you might feel real tense leading up to the full moon. Some of you might feel great, enthusiastic, and excited. But I do want to say that if you find yourself feeling really intense, as early as a week before the full moon and leading up towards it, breakdowns sometimes lead to breakthroughs. And when we feel like compressed and intense and like something is brewing inside, that's often our own consciousness getting ready to transform and getting ready to like expel what doesn't work so that we can realize what we are moving towards or something like that. And by the time we get to the full moon, I think that something clicks for a lot of you around what, again, it feels like a future direction, and it does feel very relational to me. Make the meaning that's meaningful for you. We are related in multitudinous directions to other people, to groups of people, to identities, to nations, to planet Earth, to all the many living beings that are here, right? Whose lives we absolutely depend upon and are entangled with. So what you are in relationship to, whether that is spirit, whether those are ancestral forces, whether those are your collaborators and colleagues at work, it does feel that there's some new ideas about where you're going in these relational realms. They feel inspiring. It feels expansive. And this full moon is also bringing Venus into your sign, the planetary body that is said to rule Libra is coming into Sagittarius. Venus in your sign is always a pretty nice boost. When it comes to these ideas of beauty and aesthetic and preference, this is definitely a great time to, feel like you've got your glow up or something like that. And I think that a lot of you are really getting a big boost of your own energy right now. So this is exciting, this is motivating, and it comes with a little bit of caution that you don't want to miss important feelings that need to be felt also. So it's very easy, again, for the fire signs to want to move fast and to want to move in the direction of what feels positive and enthusiastic and growth-oriented and stuff like that. And it can be very easy for our fire placements to not really want to give a lot of time to what feels sad or depressing or really complex or, like, oh my God, this is just, it's like so much. And that's here right now. There is so much that needs to be felt. There is an enormous amount of fear and grief in the collective body right now. There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of change. And for many of you on personal levels, there are things that really need to be felt, that need your attention right now. They need your time. They need your tending to. This is definitely a season of important endings as well as big beginnings. And so give those endings the space, the time, the attention that they need and deserve. When you allow for full processes of closure and mourning and process, that will help clear the way, and it will give you important lessons and material to take into these next adventures that you're going on. It is worth it to give it the time. Scorpio season is going to ask you for that anyway, and that's where we're headed next. So keep that sense of adventure, new possibilities, or this kind of energy and activation that's coming up, leading you in new directions in your mind and in your heart. And also be in your body about it, right? Be humble, be here with what is, give space and time for feelings that need to be felt. Okay, Sagittarius, I hope any or all of that serves you in the many aspects of your being and throughout Libra season. I'm wishing you all the best. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, please show your support. The easiest way to do that is to click the like, follow, and subscribe buttons below. Leave us great reviews on the streaming platforms you're tuning in with, and share our channels and offerings with your friends and networks. Your one-time and recurring donations sustain the production of this work. Click the link in the show notes to sign up for a monthly donation or leave us a tip. Thank you for your support.